What's going on, everybody? Welcome once again. We are here and we are live at the show Building Stuff with Nova. Welcome to everybody. We are live on Twitch and on YouTube, and so I am happy to be with you once again. We go live here every weekday on Twitch, and sometimes we include our YouTube family, so shout out to you on either platform. This is Building Stuff with Nova. This is what we call our virtual makerspace, our ideation laboratory, our mastermind, the place where you and me and all of us, we can build together. I am Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. You can call me Dr. Nee. And we affectionately call everyone that's been hanging out with us longer than 2 seconds our building committee. Of course, everybody on Twitch knows how it goes. And again, on YouTube, you all have seen this for a while. But in case this is your first time, I want you to understand that now is a great time to hit the subscribe button on YouTube and then come over to Twitch. Anybody on Twitch for the first time, go ahead and hit the follow button. We've gotten over 700 followers, but we're aiming for higher than that because we got a lot of cool stuff on the way. Let me know who's with me today. Of course, as we see, we want you to hit follow, but drop an exclamation point in the chat. If you feel this energy, if you're excited, because we got a really interesting topic for you today and a fantastic guest, I can assure you that. But I want to know who's with us, so please drop an exclamation point. We got Jared Martin 99. We see you. Shout out to you. Herself, Nova Building Stuff. Of course, we're always building stuff with Nova. How you feeling today, Nova? Let me know. Give me your mood on a scale 1 to 10. Shout out to everybody who's dropping a few notes on YouTube. We got Martin, that Opal guy, our familiar face. Always great to see you. Always happy to be with you. Exclamation points, just so we can see your name, though. Come off chat mute. We would love to see who was hanging out with us today. But I'm going to bring the agenda up here in just a second. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and bring the agenda up. But I got a couple of housekeeping announcements, so you all can see the agenda. It's not very complex, but this is things I want to tell you that are not quite on the agenda, but are always on my notes to make sure that you are aware every single day. Number one, we have what? Listen, one more day left. I think September 27th. One more day left, y'all, for our application for you to apply to be an in real life participant for our grand finale of Nova Building Stuff. We have been designing over the course of several weeks a 4-part engineering escape room. And when I say we have been designing, I don't just mean like Nova. I mean you all too. For those who know, we've been every week bringing on our friends from Trapology Boston, and we've been coming up with different engineering puzzles, different designs, and right now they are currently in the building phase. We've had opportunities to do virtual field trip there, but we are going to have people come in real life. You're going to meet me in person. Nova's going to fly you to Boston. You're going to spend at least 4 days with us, and you're going to be a part of this team that goes through that 4-part engineering escape game. So here's what I want you to do. Nova, please do me a favor and drop that application in the chat over on Twitch. I don't know if we've dropped it on YouTube right now, but if we aren't dropping it on YouTube, you're going to be able to click on a link to take you to our Twitch channel so that you can also put your name in the hat. We want to consider you because I promise you this is going to be a fun time. In case you don't remember, our theme for the 4-part engineering escape room is Y3K. Yep, that's our theme. We're going with a narrative where we have to retrain the AI, the benevolent AI that we've been dependent upon for at least 1,000 years by the year Y3K, with all of the concepts and principles of engineering so that our society, our environment can function as normal. And we want you to be a part of that community. We want you to at least apply. So what you're going to do is click on the link, submit your information so that you can be a part of our applicants. We can see if you are going to be the person selected to come to Boston and be one of our IRL participants. Does that sound cool, everybody? That sounds cool? Yes. There we go, Martin. You see it in the chat. There is the Twitch link on the YouTube. Again, you can click on the Twitch, come over to Twitch, hit follow while you're at it. But more importantly, find that application link that is due tomorrow. Deadline September 27th, so you can be a part of our grand finale. All right, so that's the one thing I want to always share with you. I might plug it again at the end of our stream because our guest today has a little relevance to that as well. Now, the other thing I want to tell you all, again, shout out to everybody coming through, Building Stuff with Nova, but we have surveys. In case you didn't know, this has been really a testing ground for not only Nova, not only Dr. Nee, but also for our friends at the National Science Foundation. You see our funders at the end of every stream, and we're doing a survey to see how well we are able to engage you and everyone that's been involved in this with the ideas and the principles of engineering in this informal environment. So we're gonna drop a survey. We're gonna drop a survey. I believe that survey will be dropped whatever platforms we're on right now. If if I'm not mistaken, it'll definitely be on Twitch. But we want to get you all's feedback on how exactly you feel it's been going, right? Have you learned a few things? Yesterday, we were at the Aviation Museum down in Charlotte, North Carolina. The day before that, we did a virtual escape room. That was pretty fun. The day before that, what did we do the day before that? Man, we're just doing a lot of different cool GeoGuessers. We've been doing a lot of different cool things, and we want to survey so that we can let all of our research friends know just how effective informal learning of engineering is in this space, in this live streaming space. So I already see it drop. Shout out to Nova dropping it on Twitch. Take some time. This is something that you can completely do at your own pace. We don't want to rush you, but we definitely want to hear from you by completing that survey. We've also dropped that survey link on YouTube. So check it all out, y'all. And that, I think, concludes at least the housekeeping. All right. I don't want to waste your time anymore because we got a phenomenal guest. Take a look at our agenda on the screen. We are going to be bringing a good friend, Justin Shaifer, here on Building Stuff with Nova in just a little bit. Now, let me tell you really quick. He was recently named Forbes 30 Under 30, right, in education. He is Justin, a.k.a. Mr. Fascinate. He's a science communicator. He is a TV host, producer, and a STEM ambassador on a mission to make STEM cool, something that you all know we're all about here at Building Stuff with Nova. He's the founder of Fascinate Media. He is turbocharging STEM education through immersive content using cutting-edge technologies like 3D effects, virtual production, which we're going to see a little bit today, and generative AI at his LA-based studio space called the Fascinate House. His educational content, I think you all should know, has reached millions via hosted and produced shows with major networks. And I am going to, before bringing him on the screen, share with you all just a quick little reel about his work as we prepare to welcome our guest for the day, Justin Shaifer, aka Mr. Fascinate. Check this out.
Make with PBS and Discovery was educational videos have always had relatively low production budgets, and a lot of the content that we've been able to make with PBS and Discovery was conceptually very cool, but I think that there's this promise for making higher quality immersive content with virtual production. Because of all this innovation that's happened with green screen technology, LED volumes, and generative AI, this technology has become cheaper and more accessible than ever before. And for that reason, we can make really high quality, cool stuff using virtual production. So I joined forces with NDVP, and we started this concept called a second home, where a colleague of mine, Dakota Tyler, he's an astrophysicist, is going to be visiting a number of different places to find a new home for humanity. And we have some really cool ways that we're gonna turn that into an educational piece using virtual production.
We have this camera on a jib, and it's gonna be moving around and capturing our subject in greater detail to feel more vlogger style, so that there's more going on. As I was creating these assets, I'm like, okay, we need to have as high resolution of textures as possible. So like when you zoom in here, you can see like the little grains on the ground. Like the vision is to place Dakota here on exoplanets, planets outside of our solar system that we haven't ever visited before, but we want to show people what it's like to set foot on those planets. We're going to take a little bit of artistic liberties with that, but because Dakota is a trained astrophysicist, he's going to have a lot of actual data to use to inform the visuals that we create. I really see virtual production as this technology that can revolutionize educational content. You can do stuff with nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, shoot something in Antarctica on a green screen, and I mean, it's just the prospect of that is super exciting. Yeah, I think we're going to change the game with this one.
We've discovered over 5,000 planets.
You don't get to see that every day. Proxima Centauri is orbiting those two stars you can see behind me.
I'm gonna go in for a closer look.
Welcome to a second.
I was mute really quick. I want you all to do me a favor and drop some energy in the chat as we get ready to present to some and introduce to others our fantastic guest for today. None other than Justin, Mr. Fascinate, Shaifer. Show some love. Justin, you're live and direct on Building Stuff with Nova. What up, man?
What's up, Nee? Long time no see. Great to see you as always, man.
You already know. You already know. It's great to see you as always. Man, and one of the things I didn't say, and y'all let me know if you can hear. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear Justin well. I want to make sure that everybody is down. Shout out to DuckTales, legendary collab. Our friend Doug Taylor's been hanging out with us. Man, I didn't get to tell people about our personal connection. We've known each other for maybe, what, 8 years now? It's been a while.
Something like that, man. It's been a while, yeah.
You know, and Justin and I, y'all, have been able to, of course, we're aligned in both of our passions about communicating STEM in really creative, technical, accurate, and creative ways. We've seen each other evolve, right? Not to mention have we've worked on a number of projects together. I've kind of lost count on the number of projects we've worked together. But the cool thing about your career and what you've been doing lately is that you've really taken a strong interest in this world of virtual production. Can you talk a little bit really about what caused you? Of course, we're still aligned in everything we do, but man, I'd just love to see you really dive into this world. And can you give us a little background of what led you to this?
Yeah, man. So, I always had this aspiration, and I think the video kind of shares a little bit about that. Like, I always wanted to make stuff that, looking at the budget sheets for these big budget movies was really, really expensive. Just really ambitious things that were hard for people to actually make. And I realized that, I live in Los Angeles now, and Hollywood has a number of gatekeepers, right? And, thankfully, though, technology has kind of been catching up, and it's been opening a lot of doors to make things that previously and when I say previously, just 3 to 5 years ago would have costed hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to make. And so now, virtual production technology that I'm going to share with you all today has kind of enabled this next generation filmmaking, next generation production, and in my mind, next generation immersive educational experiences. So, just the prospect of this got me so excited. I was like, I gotta dive in. I gotta be an early adopter. I'm gonna struggle through all the technical hurdles and figure it out, and then I'm gonna make stuff that no one else can make.
Hey, well, we're about to jump straight into it. I'm gonna go ahead and share what you are sharing on your screen, because everybody's saying hi, Justin. Papa Sim saying Justin is the man. What up, Just? What up? And I want you all to check out the screen that we're sharing now. This is your counterpart virtually that we now see on the screen, right?
Yeah, so this is a character I'm controlling live right now. It's a 3D character. I don't have the facial sensitivity turned up all the way, but he's one of my meta-humans, and this is Unreal Engine, which is a game development software. And I'm controlling my meta-human using an iPhone. And so I'm able to record high-quality face motion capture, high-quality body motion capture, things that used to cost thousands of dollars, required you to wear one of those black suits with all the tracking dots on it. Now we can do a lot of those things just with an iPhone or just with a camera, with a simple camera, because of how far artificial intelligence has gone. And so I'm really excited about how that translates into making better, cooler stuff for y'all, the folks that want to learn about, new things or go places that you couldn't otherwise go.
Got you. And we're going to check this out a little bit more. Can you show us a little bit about, this is already fascinating. And I don't know if y'all can see that. If y'all can see it, draw some emotes, because as he is talking again, he doesn't have the sensitivity all the way up, but the character is talking, is following all of his movements and expressing the same thing. What are we looking like? We're looking at all these numbers, all of this environment. What is all this that we're looking at, man? It looks kind of tech heavy.
Yeah, it is a little bit tech heavy, but I can explain it all to you in pretty straightforward language. So one of the first things I want to show y'all is actually the iPhone I'm using to control it. So it's going to be kind of an awkward camera angle. I'm going a little behind the scenes here. But you can see my face is controlled with these dots, these tracking dots.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard because I got them tethered to the tripod and my HDMI cable.
We can see it. I'll make it a little bigger for everybody so they can see it.
Yeah, so you can kind of see how my face is being tracked and controlled in 60 frames per second using this iPhone. So that's pretty cool. But that data is then transmitting via Wi-Fi wirelessly directly into Unreal Engine. And so Unreal Engine, and I'll give you all a little tutorial here. So I'm popping into my character now. So right now I've piloted a virtual camera that I've created. And so there's several, you can see my guy here has several virtual cameras set up. But these cameras, for those of us that are interested in production or any kind of multimedia production, you can actually control these cameras, the specific settings and all that kind of stuff. So if I wanted to change the focal length, for example, like if I wanted to zoom in, right, I can simply make a zoom shot. And for those of us that understand how cameras work, we know that if you make a longer focal length, you blur out the background more, right? If you keep the aperture the same. And so you can see here, for one, Let me zoom in here so that
get a nice shot of the
comes.
mustache. Get a nice shot of the mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, once you zoom in, you can see how that background blurs out just like a real camera.
Okay.
And if I were to change the aperture setting here, if I were to turn that down, you can see the background blurring out more. Or if I were to, crank it the number up higher, you see that background blurring out less. And so, this is basically, for all intents and purposes, a physical camera that you can use to control this character. Now I'm able to use that to do all kinds of really cool stuff. There's a lot of cool things I want to show you. So, there's a couple things. Well, one, there's a 3D printed asset that I kind of brought into Unreal Engine here and customized. And you can see I got a bunch of 3D printed steak in here.
Maybe we can give them context too, because they don't know where you are, Justin. Like, you've made a virtual set, but we haven't showed them the final product. But where are you even? Like, where is this?
Yeah. So I'm going to zoom all the way out for us here, and I'm going to show you all where we are. So for everyone that's on the call here, welcome to Mars.
We are on Mars. Okay, nice.
Yeah, and you can see how when you zoom out, the character becomes lower and lower res. It's like a smart thing that the GPU does, the graphics processor does to kind of save memory. But we're on a 3D map of a Martian base. Wow. And essentially, I was able to download this as a pre-created asset and then make some modifications to it so that it could be suited for the needs that I had. But all these things could be completely changed. I could mess around with the sky, mess around with the Martian sun. All these different things can be completely transformed. And if you are familiar, I could make a whole film on this. Like, there's another set I have here. Let me see if I can go to my Mars hike. So yeah, so my Mars hike camera. Just give me 1 second.
So these are different. You downloaded this set of Mars, basically, or this environment of Mars, and you're placing cameras as if you really had the opportunity to set up a whole film crew here in Mars.
Exactly, because the cameras are so high resolution, and the environments are so high res as well, that you can basically make something that looks almost entirely photoreal. And then you have the opportunity to blend that virtual environment with a physically real environment. And that's essentially what virtual production is, right? Okay. Bringing, so people will cast these environments from Unreal Engine onto an LED wall, and then they'll film someone in front of that LED wall, and it'll look like they're actually there. If you all know TV shows like The Mandalorian and things like that, they were made using this kind of technology.
Yeah. Man, this is cool.
So you can see here, this is another character I rigged up. He's going on like a hike, and I have like a wide shot of him, overlooking this kind of Martian landscape. But I was able to actually rig these cameras in real time. So let me go here and show y'all.
I love how they're floating too, so you don't have to have a camera person holding it, because this is virtual. The camera can be positioned.
Exactly. These are camera angles that would be really hard to recreate in real life. But because we have, these virtual production capabilities, I can just have this thing floating around in the air. So here's one of the shots, and it has a little bit of audio from something that I made, where we had this camera floating around. This would be like a drone shot, right? A drone shot on Mars. But I was able to create this in a few seconds by just taking my camera and rigging it the way that I wanted to rig it. And so it kind of like, you can see how like throughout the timeline, as I'm scrolling through the timeline of this rendered shot, the camera is actually moving around the way I created it to move. And then I had this other camera here where, so this character was kind of taking a selfie style video, and I mapped the camera to his hand. And so you can kind of see that, so it could look like he's taking a shaky handed selfie video, which has that more authentic look. And so you see it kind of perfectly synchronized with his hand. But then here's the shot that creates, right? It looks almost completely like a selfie style video, which would be really hard to recreate without that motion capture data. But again, these are like really, really high quality things that were really expensive to make just a couple of years ago. And now all of this toolkit is accessible to all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about this too. And by the way, you all feel free to drop questions about this. I don't know about you, but this is like a lot of awesomeness coming right on the screen right now that I'm already have a lot of questions about, and I'm gonna ask you in a second. But we got comments. People said Justin beat Elon Musk to Mars. It's hilarious. Y'all let us know if you have any questions for Justin. But here's what I want to know, because the first thing I think about when I see this, Justin, is like video games. Like you said, this was very expensive not that long ago. Is this basically the same tools that video games are made out of? I mean, made with this Unreal Engine?
Yeah, so Unreal Engine is a video game development software. And,
okay.
It is the same. Yeah, so it's the same exact tool. So it's on par with Unity, which is another game engine.
Okay.
That people use to make video games. So this same map, if I was a little more savvy with making video games, I could take this map, these characters I've created, and then rig them up to actually make a video game from the exact same assets. I could also export this as a virtual reality experience. Like all of these, all of these workflows are made using the same software. And I think that's the most interesting thing about this tool, because it's completely free as well. The only, I think, limitation for, the everyday person might be having the computing power to actually run this thing.
Yeah.
Which, is not as expensive as that used to be either, right? The prices of that are going down too.
Got you. That's what I was wondering, because we played a number of games on this channel. And chat, y'all remember we played Subnautica. We talked to Moo about different gaming engines and stuff. So that's what obviously this reminds me of. But from a technical standpoint, I guess it seems like there's a lot of like mapping. And by mapping, I mean like knowing in relation to where certain things are to others. Because there's just so much. This is an entire world, right? And as you're creating within this entire world, technically, like, what do you know about what's happening sort of behind the scenes? Like, is it a lot of geometry, a lot of just, I don't know, like, how does it not lose kind of where you are or where you were or anything on that you know about from a technical standpoint?
Well, I can give you a little context on that. Like, okay. I don't think I'm an expert in like the back end of Unreal Engine and kind of how it all works. But there's a lot of coding involved in making these kind of things. So like one of the cool things that I've had to create in the past was like a map of Earth.
Okay.
I don't have that one up right here. It might take a couple seconds to load that up. But what you can see is that each of these kind of things. So this is, and this is where stuff gets a little complicated, right? This is event graph for the 3D character that I've made. Okay. And I kind of have to like find ways to target him appropriately so that he shows up right on camera, right? And so, that back end does require a little bit of code, like a little bit of coding understanding. And then these node trees, which if you use any of the, kind of recent video editing software, like DaVinci Resolve and things like that, it has a lot of these kind of node trees. This interface used to be super intimidating to me when I first started.
Man, it's intimidating me looking at it right now.
Yeah, but it took me a while to kind of like get into, how all this stuff works. But I've been messing around now with Unreal Engine for a couple of years.
Okay.
And I've like kind of iteratively upgraded my desktop computer that I built so that it could handle all the graphics processing needed. But again, like just because a lot of these, chips are made, every couple of years or so, the prices of these have gone down substantially from what I paid even 2021, 2022. Right. I was kind of just getting my foot in the door with this stuff.
Got it. Yo, I hope y'all enjoying this, because I feel like there's so many layers of STEM and really engineering in this entire project. Obviously, the Unity tool itself, this engine that you're working with, and maybe you can show us a few other things. But eventually, I want you to tell us what this entire project was all about too, because we can already pick up a few things. They see in the title, Dunking and Basketball on Mars. We see the Mars environment. We see the camera angles. So there's a lot of science just in this piece of content itself. But do you want to tell us about what you're working on, or do you have anything else to show us before you tell us what the whole project was here?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you all behind the scenes on the whole kind of concept that I came up with. So again, like the idea for me was to make things that are really hard to make in places that are really hard to access. And so for me, I'm like, I have this opportunity to almost make a vlogger style video series about what a day in the life on Mars might look like. And I can do it, if I'm going to do it, it's going to be from the perspective of, a person of color, a person who has certain sensibilities, who likes certain things, right? What is their life on Mars going to look like, right? And I don't think we get opportunities to see that a lot in popular media, right? And so that's kind of what gave me this idea for this series called literally Day on Mars. Okay. And so, have my character kind of doing a number of things. I can kind of show some of the back end of how I put a lot of these scenes together, and then maybe we can show that the clip.
We'll show the actual finished product. Okay, cool, yeah.
Yeah, so And this is one thing I actually haven't released yet. So this is a cool little behind the scenes. But this first one, so I want to show what it would be like to dunk a basketball on Mars. Now, Martian gravity is like 38% of Earth's, and there's not that much air resistance as well because there's a very thin atmosphere on Mars. And so that would significantly impact how someone might dunk a basketball on Mars. Now, I'm a hooper, right? I hoop a few days a week. I still get after it. You know, if anybody in the chat wants to see me, let me know. But but I actually motion captured my body dunking an actual basketball in real life. And then I imported that 3D motion capture data into Unreal Engine. And so right now I have this little avatar character that's doing that animation. I imported a basketball hoop into it. And I still need to make some modifications, obviously, because I dunked that basketball on Earth. And what I'm trying to show is a Martian dunk. So this is kind of what the dunk looks like right now, right? Jumping up.
That's you. That's based on your actual filmed movements at the park.
Exactly. That's based on my physical body, you know, doing this thing. And I feel like I was doing it a little faster than that, but, you know.
It slowed you down.
But, yeah, based on my physical body actually dunking a basketball. So I'm going to import that data over into my 3D character, into my metahuman. And he's going to be the one that ultimately dunks the basketball. But, of course, I have to make that look different. Right? I have to change some of the sliders to make him jump a little higher because that Martian gravity is a little different. Right?
Yeah, that's what broken symmetry just pointed out. Yeah, playing with different gravitational effect would be fun.
Right.
All right, you got it.
Right. So, and that's something obviously that would be completely impossible, or you'd have to be really, really, really creative to do physically, or have a big budget, right? But I'm able to do that almost for free, right? This basketball hoop is a free asset. I kind of downloaded and made some modifications to. The motion capture software I'm using cost me about $14. Okay. You know, compared to thousands of dollars you would spend to get some data like this, literally just 2 or 3 years ago.
Exactly.
And then, so let me go to one of my other scenes here. I think this one is kind of a cool scene. Let's see. Let me go ahead and take it over to.
Man, we're just flying. Like, this would be tiring on set. The golf cart. The golf cart would take a minute.
Right? Let's see. Okay. Great. So, I got to turn off my, he's being captured. His head is doing all kind of funny stuff, right? But there's like a lot of troubleshooting that you obviously have to do with these kind of tools, right?
Okay.
And
yeah.
so,
yeah. Little things.
But like I put the character, I can put the character on a treadmill and I have him running. And you know, I've showed that from a couple different camera angles, and it's gonna look better once I show you all the final video.
Right.
Yeah, but like this is kind of what it looks like. But like that cool like cinematic angle of like the, you know, you see the reflections of like I was able to kind of in about 5 to 7 minutes, like you know, messing around with the cameras to kind of get that perfectly cinematic look that I was going for. Right. And then I added the camera shot, right? And we know, we've been on set a million times. We know this stuff takes all day just to get something cinematic, cool looking, right? Like that takes so much patience and energy.
Repositioning the cameras to do another take over here, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a few clicks of a button for me here, right? I'm just moving these virtual cameras around in physical space, maybe toggling their actual settings and then reshooting again. And I can do all that just sitting behind my computer screen. It's crazy. Right. And let me see if I can maybe show you one more piece here, just before we jump into that video.
Man,
this is the opening shot. So.
Whoa! What are all these lines?
Have this, so this is so these are like riggable lines, right? If I'm trying to rig my character, I can kind of control, you know, where his neck lands and all those kind of things.
Oh, right? Okay. So like if something's a little awkward, you can kind of like tweak it a little bit so it looks more natural and things like that.
Right.
Okay.
Now this is where I think there's some room for improvement on Unreal Engine's part, right? Like this tweaking can get very meticulous and exhausting, especially if you don't record it right the first time. But again, I think that's where like actual production is better than post-production for this. Okay. Like fix it in post, it can be done in these tools. Definitely. You can almost fix anything in post. But it's much better to record your performance the right way the first time, so that you're not toggling with these little tiny, like you can see like all these little sliders of like like imagine being stuck in the weeds of like having to like modify these little tiny sliders.
No, it could be it starts feeling like coding for real.
Yeah, like you see like each one of these little things is like a little set.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to a day in
and so but yeah, I recorded all the mouth movements, you know, did that a few times, made sure my takes looked right, and then I was able to import that data in, and I had this slow zoom out shot. You know, again with another virtual camera that I kind of rigged up myself. So I guess we can roll the clip and show them kind of the final result of what all.
Hey, chat! If y'all ready to see you now, that's what you call it, right, Justin? You call it a day in the life on Mars. If y'all ready to see it, drop
day on Mars.
Drop ready in the chat. We about to go ahead and show. This was your first one too, right, Justin?
Well, this is the second one. I can show some other maps I worked on before.
Okay. I want to make sure I have the right one queued up, because we have. Let's see what we have here. We have. I spent a day on Mars. Is that the one that you want to see?
Yeah, that's the right one. Yep,
Okay. Cool. We're gonna show. I spent the day on Mars. We got ready. Papa Stem is ready. Let's go. A clockwork ready. If you did that, is ready. Okay, here we go, Justin. Let's show it to the people.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to a day in the life on Mars. First up, exercise. Gravity's only 38% of Earth, so gotta keep those bones strong.
You already know I got vibes in the headphones.
Next up, food. Everything you could ever imagine is 3D printed on command. You know we gotta have that hot sauce. Can you believe at one point we used to kill animals and eat them for food? Crazy.
Lastly, my favorite part, going for a nice little hike. Today I'm analyzing these rock samples for traces of bacteria that existed over 4 billion years ago. No cap. Thanks for listening, y'all, and as always, stay curious.
Oh man, that's fire. That's fire, Doc. That's fire, Doc. So you just thought about like all the different things you would do, and then you did a little research to figure out like what that would mean, right?
Yeah, right. It was pretty straightforward in that way. Yeah, a little bit of background research on, you know, listening to music on Mars or running on a treadmill. Like, why would you have to exercise often, right? Because the gravity's lower. You want to keep your bone density high and stay healthy, right? 3D printing food is maybe a technology that's going to be commonplace by the time we're on Mars.
And that's what you showed us earlier when you had the little hot sauce and the 3D printer of the steaks in there.
Right. And so, but I'm like, look, hot sauce ain't going to go out of style.
Right.
And I think that's one of the key tenets of, this emerging term called Afrofuturism, right?
Okay.
Where, a lot of times when we depict when I think of the most scalable version of what we're trying to do, inspire people's interest in science and technology. Yeah, it's sci-fi films. Right? Yeah. Like films like The Martian and Interstellar and The Matrix. These blockbuster films are seen by hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of people all over the world. Right. And those are the things that inspire us to look forward into the future. Right. And most of the time, right, in a lot of these depictions, Black people or Black culture is simply like eradicated, never existed in the first place, right? And like, how can we imagine that to be the case, right? If in America, Black culture has such a powerful influence on all the other cultural contexts in the world, right? How do we imagine a future 50, 100 years from now where that's not happening anymore, or that completely got eradicated? That doesn't make any sense to me. And so when I'm thinking about these kind of concepts in the future, creatively, I'm always trying to approach it like, well, look, I like hot sauce now on my food. There's probably going to be a futuristic person that likes hot sauce on their food tomorrow, right? And that kind of just makes it more relatable to specific audiences who may not otherwise find that kind of content engaging, right?
Totally.
And so, what's excited me the most about this technology is actually jumping into new industries like science fiction filmmaking, which, I've always made educational videos, but now I'm kind of able to take a lot of this scientific understanding that I have and kind of jump into this new field that has a much larger audience base.
For sure.
And technology has enabled me to be able to make that jump.
Yeah, you made the term, you mentioned the term Afrofuturism, and I 1000% agree, because, we're all about inspiring underrepresented communities, even our community, right, that we're a part of, to get more involved. And if you can drop the definition of that in the chat, Nova drops a lot of factoids, but Afrofuturism, I think it's one of the best, I guess, mainstream ways that's been displayed is in the movie Black Panther, right? Remember that moment a few years back when that came out. And what I love about things like this is, you know, we realize that in today there are a lot of inequities and things like that. But Afrofuturism allows you to sort of think about, all right, in your freest state in the future, right? You know, what would be possible? In Black Panther kind of, I think, culturally allowed us to kind of think beyond even like some of the current challenges to a certain degree. To your point, both good and bad, human nature would be the same. You're still gonna want hot sauce. People still gonna have, you know, different tendencies. But again, in a world where certain resources are no longer restricted, where certain challenges no longer exist, technically, I think our escape room is even similar to that. Shout out to herself, just said, talking about the year Y3K. You heard me plug that earlier. So what would you say maybe when you think about the year Y3K? What do you feel like might exist? You know, we imagined it, Justin, being, again, a heavy dependence upon AI at that point. Like, so much of our infrastructure is ran by AI and all of that. But what comes to your mind real quick? I just want to ask that. I got a question in the chat on that lines.
I think that there's going to be ambitions to become more of a spacefaring civilization, right? If we believe some of the things that maybe we've read about our future because of AI, a lot of these, large language models enabling us to not have to do the types of work that we've historically done, humanity may be able to set its sights on larger ventures, right?
Yeah.
Like bigger purposes than stuff that's earthbound, right? And so we might have this opportunity to actually travel. Now, this is actually the premise of, there's deeper stuff than that, but this is actually the premise on a science fiction concept I'm working on.
Okay.
Where, basically melanin is one of our largest defenses against ultraviolet radiation. And so ultraviolet radiation is very commonplace in space. And so, in an Afrofuturistic sci-fi concept I'm working on, some of the darker, more melanated folks among us have the most opportunity for space travel because they're the safest and most protected from radiation.
Wow.
And so those are some interesting things to kind of think about, the implications of as we're kind of moving forward into this next age, potentially the post-AI age. But the other thing that excites me is this idea of, what are some of those future technologies that are disruptive that we haven't quite anticipated yet, right? Right now, using software like Unreal Engine, some of us may have seen some of those interviews where you can now create completely 3D photorealistic avatars, which I can kind of show, which I've kind of showed here with our metahumans. You can imagine in 10 years, those will be completely indistinguishable from reality.
Man, that's scary a little bit, but and maybe you can comment on that too, because that's the initial reaction. What I just said there is a lot of people, they'd be like, whoa, that's a little scary. But you can finish your thought, but I'm wondering if you have a different take on just a natural, visceral response to saying, oh man, in 10 years or even the year 3K, like we won't know the difference if I'm talking to you or if I'm talking to like your avatar. Like I won't know, or you don't know if you're talking to me. You know what I mean? Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
I think conceptually, for good reason, we have a lot of reluctance and hesitancy to think about those kind of things. But I think it's not something that we should entirely run away from. I think it can enable us to become more connected than we are right now. If you think about how much time we spend on these kind of like, clunky, they seem high tech right now.
Right.
But smartphones are kind of these devices that we like look down at and we consider ourselves being so connected to each other, but really we're just typing this very low bandwidth way, right? Based on how fast our thumbs can type. This is the best modality of interaction, or these flat 2D, video calls, right? Where, I'm not able to, shake your hand or actually look you in the eye, but we kind of are simulating that in this experience. You can imagine those becoming increased in terms of depth, sophistication, and then even being able to be more connected with people. I have friends that are in long distance relationships that are struggling with those, right? Imagine a future in which your long distance relationship doesn't feel long distance.
Right. There is no quote long distance anymore. I mean, you're right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And what is that? What kind of implications does that have for globalization, right? Connecting with people from other countries, who have completely different belief systems. Like, it seems like it's an opportunity to bring us all closer together if we harness the technology appropriately.
Right. I feel like that's a role that creatives like yourself play too in the possibilities, because I think sometimes the fear comes from the stories that have been told, right? If the stories are always told in a nihilistic, fear for your lives. You better make sure we don't get too far, right? Or things can backfire. I think there are also opportunities to create and tell stories about what you just said, like relationships no longer feeling long distance, or, being able to connect and harmonize with people in ways that you couldn't before. Like, don't you think that as not only people like ourselves being more technically inclined, I'm an engineer, being, your background's in science and things like that, but also being able to tell stories with and about the tools, it sort of serves a bigger purpose, right? A bigger why, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I too am kind of a technically, I guess, indoctrinated nerd, you could say. Like, I just get really interested in this kind of stuff, and like I got interested in the tech first, and then I got excited about what possibilities could be created, and then I started seeing the purpose, right? I started seeing the why. Like, okay, I've developed these media chops over the years. This is kind of the next frontier for me. This is the next level of that for me, and I can use this to make stuff that can portray cultures in lights that they've never been portrayed, right?
Exactly.
Can give people an optimistic take on the future that they don't otherwise have without enabling them with access to these kind of tools.
Right. Well, cool, man. I want to change gears here in a second, but I'm wondering if there's anything else you can show us here in Unreal that you haven't showed us already about what you're working on and where you plan to go in some of your future publications. That was a cool day in the life of Mars, but you're gonna unlock some others for us soon.
Yeah. So I want to show you all, and this is very, very early.
Very early.
But this is, So I want to show you all this one. I'm going to launch another Unreal Engine. So right now I have 2 instances of Unreal Engine on my computer. I'm going to close down this one that I've had open.
Okay. And I'm going to queue up something here while you're doing that, which I think is really cool.
Okay.
So you said 2 instances of Unreal Engine. That's what we're looking at now. Like, you opened another project?
Yeah. So if you could give me one sec here.
Yeah, no worries.
Welcome to Escape.
Oh, I see. It's getting a little tricky. Okay. Hopefully that'll work. What you doing, Zip? Okay.
I got a surprise for y'all, chat, by the way, and I want to remind y'all about, again, the deadline to apply to be a part of the escape room, right? The escape room is happening at the end of October, and you have an opportunity to put your name in the hat to be one of our players. And again, this is open to anybody that's been a part of our community, been a part of what we have been referring to as the building committee. Again, you on YouTube, you all who follow us regularly on Twitch, go over on Twitch, look in the chat for a link on how you can apply to be a part. And Justin has a connection to this project too. He has a connection to that finale that I'm going to bring up here in just a second, right after he shows us this last thing he's working on. But I just want to remind you all that you have an opportunity to apply to fly to Boston, kick it with your boy Dr. Nee, kick it with Nova, kick it with Trapology Boston, who helped design the escape room, and we're gonna have a great time. So I'm gonna tell you all Justin's connection here in a second, but I want to make sure we have a chance to check this out. Justin, what you have here?
Okay, so one, before I jump into the map, I want to show you all. So this is actually a 3D version of Earth that I designed myself.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
So
the map of Earth. That's dope.
Yeah, right. So it kind of has that atmospheric glow. So if I open up the material instance here, you all should still be able to see that. You can see the node tree and the complicated set of things necessary to open to create this map, right? So I had these 3D textures. It's got the cloud, it's got the
that's crazy.
The glow, it's got the blue, right? And it just kind of looks like something that you might see from space. Right?
So you can place that anywhere though. Like once you designed it,
I can place that. Once I've designed that asset, I can place that anywhere. I could even put one of my characters and have him, like, I could mess around with the scale of it and have a character walk across that Earth sphere. Yeah. So let's jump in. Okay, so this is a moon base. And then let's see.
So you got a moon, but you had the Mars base. Now you got the moon base.
Yeah. So this. And this might get a little laggy because like I said, I haven't rigged everything up.
So far, so good.
Okay, let's see.
I love how realistic it look. Y'all, hey, if you all in the chat, let me know, have you ever tried to build anything with an engine, or have you ever done any type of 3D modeling like we're seeing Justin's working with? Because I feel like this is something for you. If you are inclined to this and you really are fascinated by this, this might be the next step to start creating content similar to how Justin is showing us right now. But let me know in the chat if you've ever created or played with any similar tools as what we see right now. Thank you, Abu. Abu said, I love your content. Luke is dropping the emoji over on YouTube. Yeah, have you all ever used this, Abu? Have you ever used this? DuckTales? Sounds like we need someone to film. DuckTales said. Oh, yes, we got a yes. A clockwork said yes. Have used some of these things. I love it. I love it. This base, it's advanced.
So this is it's still being worked on. We're actually working with a 3D artist in Egypt to iterate on this, because I kind of took it as far as I can take it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna work with a guy to take it kind of to the next level.
Okay.
But this is a virtual production project. So we have this, we have like a couple virtual cameras set up here, and sorry, it's a little laggy on my side. So trying to bring down that camera speed. Okay, and so we have these media plates, right? And so we actually filmed. So this is what I wanted to show you all. So this is a virtual production project. So we filmed this person in front of a green screen, and we kind of keyed them out, right? So we kind of removed all the green out of the shot,
right?
And we're placing them into this virtual world. So this is the essence of what virtual production is: the blending of physical and virtual reality. So I have this slow zoom out shot, and like I said, the artist that we're hiring is going to punch this up to the next level. But we put her. This is a real person.
This is a real person inside of a virtual set.
Exactly. And so we put her on this media plate, which is this 2D plane in our 3D environment. And then I'm able to recreate a shot. So this was filmed on a static camera, but I'm now able to create this like slow zoom out epic shot where you can see kind of Earth here in the background and all the other things. So this is very, very early. It's still coming together.
That's just like rendering. That's basically more computing that it needs to do. Every time you move, there's a lot of computing involved, and pretty much in every frame, right? Is that basically why we're seeing it go in and out? Okay.
Yeah, and so you can kind of see I've like pre-created some of the there's like flying cars moving in the background.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna come together really nicely, and it's gonna look really, really clean when we're finished. But I recorded this in a bunch of different camera angles, synced up my virtual cameras with the real ones when we physically shot it. And so we're gonna export something that looks really, really interesting as the final asset. But this is just a little sneak peek. I don't want to talk too much about
I know. Y'all, we just got a sneak peek. Justin, I didn't know you was gonna give us the sneak peek, but we just got a nice little sneak peek, y'all. Y'all gotta show some love for Justin, pulling back the curtains just a little bit. And I can imagine again how immersive this feel, especially with an actress or actor that's like very, good at imagining where they are, right? And that's why we get so pulled into these stories, because you create this entire world. Obviously, they're not seeing everything that we see. But when you blend together someone who does their craft well with someone who, do what you do well as you are continuing to grow, like, man, the experience you create for people is really limitless.
I think so too, man. I think so too.
Yeah. The Clockwork says, thank you, Justin, for sharing today. All right, yo, so let me check this out. Yeah, let me let y'all know that Justin, in some ways, is my predecessor in some ways, right? So we know that we've been talking about our escape room. We've been building it. We've been designing it. And this is not the first, I guess, escape room project that Nova has done, right? They launched, what year was it, Justin? Maybe 2000, what can you say?
2019.
2019, y'all. 2019, they launched what they called the Escape Lab. And guess who the host of the Escape Lab was? If you guessed Mr. Fascinate, Justin Shaifer himself, you are 1000% correct. Justin, you experienced this unique type of project before, and I'm going to share this real quick. Everyone can see the screen share here. I'm going to share this quick video that you were talking about it with the audience. You all see this?
Welcome to Escape Lab, where we work with you to build a real-life space exhibit in real time. I'm your host, Justin Shaifer, also known as Mr. Fascinate, and you're going to join me September 9th live here on Twitch as we build and science our way out of a futuristic escape room. Now let's blast off.
Awesome. Yo, Justin was a part of the very first escape lab or escape room experience here with Nova. And Justin, I want to ask you real quick, and I can get you back up here in a second. I want to ask you, what do you remember about that experience? How dope was it to be a part of it? And any advice for your boy as I continue to host such an innovative project like this?
Man, you can still hear me, right, Nee?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Yeah, no. So, man, that experience kind of changed my life because one, it was actually my first ever hosted kind of TV professional production gig, and it was like super advanced in terms of the set design, the set build. Trapology was still a part of it as well. I remember working with him. And so that kind of was like my first impression of, oh, this is what production is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was kind of like, man, this is such a technical thing. I later learned that there's a lot less technical production happening in a lot of other parts of the world.
Right.
But that kind of got me on this path that actually ended up making me want to become savvy with tools like Unreal Engine and virtual production.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to create things on a certain level technically that could achieve a certain result visually. And man, I think, in terms of advice for that, man, just keep the energy high. I think, it's a very, very fun experience. I remember we had, I think we ended up having like over like a football stadium's worth of live viewers throughout the course of that stream.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic experience. And I remember one of the other things I learned, and I think you have a great feel for this now, with Twitch, is that, everything doesn't have to be perfect. Right. I think, you come up in a traditional media or TV background, and you learn that you have to be kind of like on point to a certain extent, so that people can, think that you're, professional. Right. But like nobody cares about that in live anymore.
Right.
They want you to make mistakes. They want to see the imperfections, and they kind of want to laugh with you as you're figuring things out. Like we one time had, I remember this so vividly, actually, because I ended up doing a talk about it later on for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting. We had like a issue in the middle of our stream, and some of the viewers actually helped us resolve the issue.
The real issue, so like not even a play, like an actual issue you had.
Like a technical problem that was preventing us from being able to move forward. And like one of the viewers was able to kind of come in clutch and help us out with that. So I was just so inspired by that kind of approach to video. And like kind of having your audience co-create the experience with you. Obviously, you always want to include them, which you're doing a great job of now. So it's just finding more of those modalities to continue to reach and engage with that audience and keep them, engaged.
Chat, y'all hear this, right? That's exactly what we've been saying. And by the way, I see a Clockwork. Clockwork says, celebrate the process. They were there during this escape room. I remember being in the chat as well. I was telling Nova that, like, I was also in the chat trying to help things figured out. We had the team. Herself made a joke. Yeah, chat production team. You got that chat production team going on. What can you say to everybody watching too that had to be a part, just to kind of tease up their excitement for it too? Because we're gonna have in real life participants, but as you all did, we want chat to also help solve some problems in the escape room too. Right. What type of encouragement you give to everybody to really make the most of just unique, innovative experience, even virtually?
Man, I think that lean in as a viewer. You are co-creating the experience, right?
Yeah.
And you should know that Nee's team is going to need you to make this great, right? And I think that's the beautiful relationship that streamers have with their audiences. That's unlike any other type of video platform where it's like. Usually I'm making stuff, I'm producing it, I'm making it as perfect as I can, and I'm putting it out. You all are kind of working together on this. And so I think that's a really cool opportunity. I think Nee's a good guy to help out.
Appreciate you.
Definitely lean in and, help me make this great.
I love it. Well, listen, before I let you go, I'm going to come back to you and get some parting words. But I want to remind y'all that we got another stream. We got one more stream tomorrow as I pull up our program schedule for this week. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of cool stuff. I've really been all over the state of North Carolina, if I'm honest with you. We've been all over the place, playing games here in the office, in the studio with GeoGuessr. We did a virtual escape room. You all were part of that, as you heard Mr. Fascinate just talk about leaning in. So we need y'all to lean in even more. We're not done. We got a lot more to go. Of course, yesterday we were at the Aviation Museum. Justin showed us some amazing stuff. Thank you again for the tour of Unreal Engine and how you design your own virtual production studio and even this Day in the Life of Mars. But tomorrow, y'all see the title. That title should be enough for you all to show it tomorrow. Where does our poop go? It's the title for tomorrow. We have Dr. Reyes, Dr. Francis, who will be joining us here on Building Stuff with Nova tomorrow. Yes, indeed, DuckTales. That is exactly what we're going to be talking about. I see herself. We got the emotes coming. So if you all want to check that out, make sure you join us here tomorrow on Building Stuff with Nova. But before we get there, I got to go ahead and ask you, Justin, coming back to you one more time, man. You know, I just have to say again in front of everybody that, man, it's been great to just watch and witness your evolution, whether it been the projects that we've done together or the ones that we've been able to appear into on both sides mutually. And I'm really excited not only about what can be done with virtual production and the stories that have yet to be created or yet to be thought of, but also all the great things that you're going to be doing, because, you know, a lot of people out here, including myself in this exact project, right, take inspiration from the work that you put out. And so with that being said, man, you got anything to leave us with before we say goodbye and let you get back to your awesome production work?
Yeah, man. A powerful thing that Steve Jobs said, and I'm not going to quote him verbatim, is that every invention ever made that's changed anyone's life was made by someone no smarter than you that just had that perseverance, right? And so if you have these ideas for things that you want to make, just stick with them. Stay in the mud for a long time, and then you'll start, you know, I'm 2 years into my Unreal Engine journey, and a few months ago, I just started kicking out stuff that people can see. And so, you know, I think, you know, just stick with your process, stick with that innovative spirit and persevere. And that's how you make stuff that changes the world.
Indeed, indeed. There you all heard it. Drop some love, drop some fire, drop some emotes, drop some energy and some thanks as we give a round of applause for our guest for today, Justin Shaifer, aka Mr. Fascinate, founder, CEO, leader behind Fascinate Media, Fascinate House, and also an incredible creative in this space of science, technology, engineering, math. Everybody saying thanks in the chat, Justin. Really appreciate you. And I hope to see you all tomorrow. Same time, same place, 1 p.m. here on Twitch. We're going live on YouTube tomorrow as well, so you all want to check that out as we talk about where does our poop go. But until then, you all take note, keep in mind exactly what Justin just said, and always keep building, y'all. Take care. Peace.